to another edition of the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show, where this week it's going to be just me, and we're going to talk about complementing two of everybody out there's favorite football plays, the ever-popular gap scheme power and counter plays. Going to talk about ways to complement them with what a lot of people out there would call gut, what I would just honestly assume is just a fold ISO. Some of the stuff, including the rules we've talked about, blatantly stolen from Fair State. If you've watched any of their stuff on Glacier, which if you haven't, you should definitely check it out. Some really, really great stuff on there. So if you're interested in ways to complement the power and the counter with the gut scheme, or the follow scheme as we call it, that I think is a really good complement to counter, then you should stay tuned to this week. Just a reminder before we get going, the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show is brought to you by School Funder. School Funder, the only online fundraising company in America that lets you keep all of the money your team raises. Coaches would never give away 20% of their wins, so why do they willingly, season after season, give away 20% of their proceeds in fundraising when you don't have to? Call the good people at School Funder at schoolfundr.org and let them know the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show sent you, as it'll help the show. Again, we've talked about only real goal of this show is to try to reach as many coaches as possible, get as much good free content out there as possible to coaches all across the country. We always rely on the tremendous generosity of guests everywhere, and we're always very appreciative of those guests. This week it's going to be me, and I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to share my screen here, and we will get going talking about complementing the power and the counter. All right. So, again, as we're talking about complementing power or counter here, this first one we're going to talk about is what like I said, a lot of people call this the gut scheme. Kenny Simpson calls the gut scheme. We block it a little bit differently in terms of our rules and in terms of some of the things we do here. Definitely don't have to have this whip motion in it. Incidentally, we don't call it red anymore, red and blue, and we don't call it IZABs either. So different names for it, but it's a fold ISO block here. And if we're going through our rules, and I think this is, for us, this has been able to accomplish two tasks. When you're talking about putting together a system, you want an inside up the middle type play. You want an outside play. You want an off tackle play, and you want a counter if you're putting together an offense. That's really all you need in terms of your run games if you're attacking multiple areas. I have never been particularly good at teaching inside zone, and we've run inside zone before, and to be honest, it's never really been a highly successful play for us in terms of yards per carry and things like that. So we kind of got away from that, and this has done two things. Number one, it's really been a nice complement for those teams that like to be able to spill your power and counter game. And number two, it's been a great, great way for us to not have to run inside zone and still have a play that really, to me, is an A-gap to A-gap play. I've seen a lot of guys teach inside zone. One of the most effective ways I saw inside zone get taught, Jason Mons, really successful football coach at Saguaro, now the tight ends coach at Arizona State, talked about front side A-gap, or the front side cheek of the center to the backside cheek of the center. That, to me, is what we're talking about here. I love it against a split defense, odd or even split. Now, the thing about it that I don't think it can be necessarily your standalone or base play, or at least it has trouble being that. I think it has a little bit more trouble against those bare and tight fronts. There are things you can do to alleviate that problem, no question about it, but we've liked it better against even split and odd split, or 4-2-5 stuff here, what we would call an even split defense. So the other thing here, and in this case, we're actually reading the backside end. You don't have to For you teams that love RPOs and you want to be able to RPO, you can follow this guy's rule by just changing this word from read here to just the name of the play, whatever you're calling the play. Full ISO, he blocks back. Now you can just as easily read this guy. You can run that peek route that a lot of people love in RPOs. But let's get into the nuts and bolts of the play, because the RPO action of it, in my view, is not going to ever be really incredibly successful unless you're able to really get going the base run play here. So let's talk about the rules on this. Great part about it is, I tell our kids this when we're installing it, if we were doing our install, this would be at day 3. This would be after we had installed power or counter. And the reason we like to install it or put it in after we've put in power or counter, because I think it's a great complement. And for the center, the rules are really, really similar. Man on, man away. If you have a man on and a man away, you're going to call it down, down. And that'll also fit into the rules for the right guard, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But your center here, nobody on him, so he's going to block away. The guard is skip pulling. He's first gap available. First gap available. All right. And we're going to make a call here. If the first gap available is the A gap, all right, that's going to be determined by the play side guard, and we'll get into his rules here in a second. But the play side guard, if he thinks the A gap is available, he is going to call a mouse, mouse, mouse call. And what that tells the guard as he's pulling is he's going to insert in the first area, most likely the A gap. Could they slant, spike something after the snap? Of course. But initially here in the pre-snap, we're saying, hey, a mouse's tail is smaller than a rat, so you're going to come up here and lead up really, really quickly. Now, if he's decided that A gap is covered, he's going to say rat, rat, rat. Rat, rat, rat means you're going to pull a little bit further, and you're probably going to insert in the B gap. His rule is not going to change either way. He's blocking the first man from the center over. So one of the things I like about this, the rules are really, really simple. You talk about the day before, you put in your power and counter stuff, your gap down backer, your gap down buddy, your gap on down, whatever you want to teach, but it's the same scheme play side. You're really just changing who the kick guy is. So what you're doing here now, you're switching these rules up a little bit. You get a base block, all right, on the first man from the center over. The tackle's base blocking the second man from the center over here. So in this even front, first man, second man, boom, we're good to go. We're skip pulling. We got that mouse call, so we know we're here into the A gap. All right, and the Y is inserting as the second puller. All right, really good stuff here. Been a really successful play for us to complement power. And I'll tell you why I think it complements power. You get down block, down block, down block, down block, down block. This guy starts fighting, fighting, fighting. He's a 2, he's a 3 technique. He's kind of fighting into that double team now. He gets spaced out. Now this guy gets spaced out. These teams get really good at spilling. And obviously you have to have multiple ways to complement those teams that I think get really good at spilling stuff. But now, really easy base block. Take him where he wants to go. We're good to go. Doesn't have to be anything dominant. I don't ever want to use the term position block, but it doesn't have to be a mauler or a road grader on this type of play. Always going to have 2 guys leading up through the hole. Now, what we want to establish here as we're leading up through the hole is we want them shoulder to shoulder. We want the ball here, and we want to run right down Main Street against the even split. All right, A gap to A gap here. Like I said, in this case, we're reading the backside end. We're going to read this backside, and you don't have to. You can base block this here, and like we talked about, you can get to your RPO stuff if that's what you so choose. A lot of times on this, because this play is not going to really bounce, we'll tag hitches on the outside, so we have the chance to be able to throw those hitch routes there on the outside here. This is it actually. A little bit different than you saw there. This is a more fair state way to run it. So now instead of the tight end, you're going to get the guard fold. You're going to get the fullback leading. And we'll talk about this here when we show some of the clips here. All right, but we're motioning across. We get that here. We get the guard folding. We get the fullback leading up. We got the split backers, one here, one here. Boom, and we are good to go. Good play right up the middle, right in the interior of the defense. Okay, a couple other things here. Oop, getting out of this. Let's go back to the install here. And let's hop in it here. This is Gunfly, Red Eyes Abs. Again, same type of premise here. That's actually the one we just showed on the clip there, where we got the fly motion. You're still following the exact same rules. Man on, man away against the even front. Number 1 from the center over. Number 2 from the center over. Now we want to get the tail back. We want to get the guard shoulder to shoulder as they're running through the hole here. Here's the one we just showed. And now, these I think really complement power. Now I'm going to show you, and we'll show you both here on our film cut-ups. But now I'm going to show you what I think is a really good complement to the counter play. All right, counter, you get down blocks, same thing. On the play side, you got your gap down backer stuff, gap on down, whatever it may be. All right, same concept here, same rules play side, same exact rules, and this is it against an odd front. And we'll talk about our rules here. The left guard is going to block the first man from the center over. In this case, it's an odd front. We got a nose guard here, so first man from the center over. The center, man on, man away, which is our same rules in power and counter. So we're going to get a double here. Why I like it against a split, it's not bad against odd stack teams, but they get an extra backer in the box. All right, but those split teams, you're going to be inserting 2. They got 2 inside backers. Love this. You can get a double. This is not a combo at all. All right, the center could come off if this Mike tried to fill here, because this is his gap still. Man on, man away. He's still responsible for that backside A gap. But right here, what we're getting here is a true double team. Let's get on the hip. Let's move this guy the heck out of here. All right. Now, the guard is pulling. Tackle, of course, has the second man from the center over. So first man from the center over, second man from the center over. His non-negotiable. He can have a lot of things happen to him here. He's gotten to get in the B gap. This is why, incidentally, I don't always think it's a great football play against those tight front, those bare front type teams, because it becomes a little bit tougher. And you can still block it, but you have to kind of alter your rules a little bit. And we'll talk about a little bit about stuff we've done. But we prefer when they get in that. When they get in those bare fronts, it's just G-City to me, because you got great angles for all your down blocks. You can get a chip from the backside tackle and get the guard up really, really easily, I think. All right, so we don't like it as much against that because we have other things in our arsenal we feel like are good against that front. You got an extra guy, like we got a 3-man surface. He's got the third man from the center over. Now, a couple things here. The guard is pulling. The follow, in this case, is talking to the Y. We're still inserting 2 guys, but now the Y is following. He's probably going to end up on this backside backer scraping, and we're going to be here. But either way, we got 2 for 2. And you got to drill that. You got to have ways to drill that so you're getting that 2 for 2 scenario here. And we'll show it right here. Incidentally, really like this formation. You get your tight end empty. You got a 3-man surface here. Wisconsin River Falls and that tremendous Top Gun offense utilize this formation quite a bit. Again, trying to make it in jet motion. We got our guard pulling. Let's go back so you can see it. Our right guard is pulling. Our left guard blocking out. Our left tackle blocking out. Again, following their rules. This is it against an even front here. Number 1, number 2. Guard is pulling. He's pulling here. All right, and following through. Now, this is where it gets a little dicey here. They might have been in a stack alignment where they got those 3 backers instead of 2. We end up 1, boom, boom. Okay, that third guy comes free, but we still gain 6, 7 yards. All right, so let's hop over to here. I'm going to show a couple of things here on this. And we're going to show a little bit of, and there's definitely things that can stop this play. Actually, we're going to go into eyes abs first, which we said, again, we think eyes abs really complements the power. We think it's a great complement for the power. Those teams that get good at spilling, we think it's really, really helpful. The follow, we think, is a great complement for counter. You saw this one a little earlier. We got guard, we got tailback leading through, or in that case it was fullback because we were in what, as a Sun Devil fan, I call devil personnel. We don't call that wildcat. We don't really call anything wildcat here. This is one of the things that I think can make the play less effective. It's not always great against some of those all-out gap blitzes. Here you see this, a lot of, what you see from a lot of people here, where you get these 2 inside backers running through the A-gap. Now here we block it absolutely perfectly. All right, we do this really, really well. The center blocks away, the tackle reaches. So the tackle ends up, he's a pretty smart guy because he's following his rules. The center is man on, man away. In this case, he ends up blocking back on the blitzing backer because as you'll see here, the blitzing backer is going to end up in the A-gap. So then when he's on the line of scrimmage, man on, man away, he's really the first guy. Tackle now has the second guy, which in this case is here. This is really hard. This is a smart offensive line for them to be able to see that. We're still here following our rules. First man, second man. The thing here that makes this play is this blitz comes free on the A-gap, but the fullback picks him up, and we end up popping this for a big touchdown. Not always something you'll see when you run this play. It's not always like this against this all-out blitz here, but we happen to boom, and he doesn't even get a huge piece of him. Kid running the ball, really talented as well. And all of a sudden, you got a big football play. All right, showing this one, little 5-yard gain again. Okay, they started here, even split defense. We got our 2 guards wrapping, going to end up here. The fullback or the tight end, whichever the lead guy is, should end up right here. They're playing a little man, so they're running that guy across in motion. That third guy kind of sneaks his way back into the box. But hey, I like 4 or 5-yard gains. All right. Another good formation think. Here we got it against an odd front. Odd split front here. These guys ended up winning the state championship this year. Again, what I love about this, you're going to get this double on the nose. Double on the nose. Boom. And we end up with a good-looking football play. All right, fullback should be on this play side guy. Guard should be wrapping prior to here, but this backer kind of stays, so I'm not sure if he ended up getting to him. But, hey, that's a 13, 10, 11-yard play. Everybody likes 10, 11-yard plays. I think you're going to get the end zone view of this now. And I think this is a good view you can see here. Center's man on, man away. Guard saying, hey, first man from the center over. Nose guard comboing down. Second man from the center over. And again, this team really well coached, all right? Really well coached football team. They know we love running off tackle. We love running this motion and running power. Running power read. All those things. So they start cheating this guy out. That just makes this block easier for this guy. Nice little angle. Block out, block out. We end up with the guard wrapping probably for this guy. Fullback's right here on this guy. Really good complement, in my opinion, to the power play. Those teams that really get good at being able to do some things that way, this makes it hard on them in terms of spilling. Love this formation. Another good one here. You got your tray. We tag it so the tailback's over here. This could be a quarterback. Actually, in this case, this is devil, what a lot of people call wildcat. And we motion this guy over. He's right here. Now, we do this a lot, and we kick out, kick out, kick out. This guy gets good at playing it. Now we're basing, following our rules, first man, second man. All right, they do a pretty good job there, but we still end up with a 10-yard football play. Like that stuff. A lot of different ways to complement things you're already doing. Let's get a look at this front here, because I think this front, like I said, I believe, and not the best end zone copy, but I believe we don't end up getting a bear front here. But I do think the bear front can give you a little bit of trouble. All right. This is kind of a wild story from this game. This is the same game from the night before, but our lights went out. A little bit Super Bowl-esque, and we had to replay the game on Saturday afternoon. All right, there you see it. Okay. Still against an odd front, so we're basing out. We're going to get a good combo. All right, now this looks a little more, could be split, could be stacked. We'll see if we get the end zone copy. If it is stacked, we're going to combo. We're going to come off here because we want to have two inserts for two backers. Okay, leading up to here, guards wrapping to here. And again, you don't have to worry about getting a great block. Tight end misses this block on this guy. Kind of swims around. It doesn't matter. This thing's hitting right downhill. And I think you'll see from this, the running back actually tries initially to go outside. And if he'd have followed his rules, we're going to be here. One of the things we also like to do, we like to run this to the widest down lineman here. So if you get an even front, we like to run it to the 3 technique. You get an odd front or an under front, a lot of people call it. We're going to run to this guy because then the tackle's got a real easy base block. Center can block back, and we're good to go. All right, again, you see the tailback would have stayed right downhill. Shoot, he might be hitting the referee here. He kind of took this wide initially. We want to be cheek to cheek on this play. He eventually finds it, and we got a good football play. Same thing here. Boom, love it, right downhill. Good looking football play here. Incidentally, and the guard's kind of tipping his hand here, he's looking here, but the thing he does really, really well, we talk about a 3-step progression on this combo. So like I said, these guys right here are going to be first man from the center over. Tackle's going to be second man from the center over. And in this case, this guy's not quite head up. He's out here because they know we like double, 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 double. He starts fighting, fighting, fighting. We end up here. But what I want to see is a good 3-step progression here. So we should give a little ground with this left step, right step, all right? And then if this foot lands when this forearm hits, you're going to see this nose guard really go flying out of the picture and get that lateral movement we like talking about. 1, 2, all right, he's got 2 steps down. That third step right here hits right. The hand is directly, not quite on the hip, but in really good position. Forearm to the ribs here. I don't really care if the head's on the back. That doesn't matter to me. We're here. We're good position, and we're really going to get big time lateral movement. All right. Love that stuff right there. Really good looking football. All right. Another couple. Start squeezing this inside. Really what I like about this, an attitude type play. Just an attitude. We're going to get downhill. We're going to attack you a little bit. Play. Now, the thing we did, if you've seen a lot of these, have been plays where we've run the quarterback. Doesn't have to be. We've kind of morphed this play into a play that we really like to give the tailback. Now, a little short motion here with the Y. He's going to be the insert. We're pulling the backside guard. All right, so our 2 inserts are here. Our right guard here. And we're going to turn, hand that thing right downhill, right down Main Street, coming right at you. All right? Talk about always like it. Against split, this is really it against a stack. So we should get, following our rules, first man the center over, but now with an extra guy, we got to come off here. We're going to lead up right here, Guard's going to wrap right here. Let's see if they do that the way they should. Not bad, honestly. Could have been better, but not bad football there. All right, again, we love jet power. Not necessarily jet power read, but this is a really well-coached football team. Coach Young over Bradshaw, he's got 250-plus wins. They know we like running this guy across, running the power. This is why I think this is a really good complement of it. You get this 6-2 man line here. These guys blocking first man from the center over, second man from the center over. Tight ends on the third man. This 6-man line you get on the goal line here. You got guard wrapping. You got fullback leading. You get split guys. And if you can get your back on your safety here, you're going to have a chance to be successful. And we were able to do that here. Good right down Main Street. Gotta love it. Really good looking, high quality football. Again, like we've talked about, we consider this, and that's a really good one too, we consider this to be a great complement to your power play. All right, guards blocking out, fullbacks inserting, backside guard, 2 for 2, and we're in good shape. All right, let's get a couple more. Good end zone copy, boom. Get those split backers. Again, attitude play. You like to run off tackle. Really, really nice complement. Another way to run it here, we got the tailback with it. So now we're motioning across. Now we got our 2 inserts here. Again, we did this a lot. Bring this guy over, kick out. All right, and we're running power. Now, complements it really well. Number 1, number 2, leading up, 2 split backers. Right down Main Street. 6-yard play right into the teeth of the defense is good stuff. Here you can see it here. And in this case, didn't recognize that from the regular copy here, but this would be a rat call. So as this guy motions across, he's letting this guard know, all right, this is a 1 technique. You're going to have to pull a little bit further. This guy now knows, hey, I'm inserting in the gap available. I'm not going to run in the A gap. There's a big old D tackle in there. So he's inserting in the gap available. He ends up there. Okay, guard ends up getting there. He gets his rat call, which tells him it's a longer pull. And we're good to go. And we hit this thing right down there. Good looking football. Really like it a lot. Like I said, really a good complement to the power. Another nice version there. It's morphed into, like I said, a play where we think it's better to the tailback. We started initially, and like we talked about, we took it directly from Ferris State, and they ran it a lot with the quarterback. Again, really good call there on the rat call. We're going to run in the available gap. So in this case, you do not have to be a football savant. When you're looking on the play side here, where is the available gap? That's a linebacker. It's the B gap here. Now they're playing pretty tight because we've gotten good at it. Nice job motion over. He ends up here. He ends up here. Really good looking football play. But I think this is really good stuff because it's such a good complement for your power. When you get those teams that want to be gap scheme, we certainly fit into that realm. We want to be a gap scheme team. Being able to complement it by having something that's going to complement your best stuff is really important. Gone a little bit longer than I wanted to, so I want to definitely get into the follow, which I consider to be, and there are not quite as many clips of the follow, which I consider to be a really good complement to your counter play. Obviously, a lot of jet Q counter here. Run this guy cross combo, whether it's jet GT, jet GY. This becomes the complement. Now, instead of gap down backer, we're following our rules. First man, for same thing on the play side. Just like power and counter on the play side is gap down backer, gap on down, whatever you want to do. It's the exact same rules here on the follow, which is a complement to that. So first man, second man, guards pulling, follows coming right here. And we're heading right down Main Street. All right, little false start there. Sometimes that happened this season because we changed the quarterback a lot, brought in our tailback. This kid ended up being the leading rusher in school history, a really, really good football player. So sometimes that snap count, you really got to work on that snap count staying consistent. So this is against, I believe, an odd front here. Again, rules on the play side the same. First man from the center over. We're going to get a combo here. We're going to get second man from the center over. We're going to try to base him out. We're going to pull. We're going to follow. Two guys inserting for two backers. And these guys ended up winning the state title. We actually had their D coordinator on this season in one of the early episodes of the show. Really did a good job. So these guys were a really good football team. We couldn't stop them, but they had some trouble stopping us this night too. This play I really like, and I've beaten it to death because you get this situation where you're running GY, kick, 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 kick. Now we're basing that guy out. We're following our rules here. First man from the center over combo. And the other thing is you get a big old dude here that's going to be tough to single block, even tough to combo. Now you get a true double team on this guy. You don't have to worry about sliding off because you're getting a true double team. And hey, I like 7-yard gains. See it here. So again, a little problem with the snap count here. But we end up inserting. Tailback's running downhill, keeping his feet moving. Love it because it's a great interior football play. All right, in this case, they do a good job here. I want you to pay attention, close attention to the left tackle. They get a slant. He's following his rules here. I believe they end up in an even front here. Perhaps still an odd front. We'll see when we see the end zone copy. But this guy slants across. Yeah, it's probably still an odd front. He slants across. He's following his rules. Second man from the center over. Wasn't able to base him out. Widen him past the play. Now we get guard here. Now the follow is coming from the fullback. Either way, this guy did his job. He rode this guy all the way past. And guess what? Like we've talked about repeatedly, we got two guys inserting for two split backers. And that is high quality football right there. Love the motion with it. You see it, boom, riding him across, boom, right downhill. Again, really nice ways, in my opinion, to complement your power and counter stuff. Same type of thing here. Love the cut by the tailback. That's so pretty. All right, again, he slants, takes him all the way across. Thing I like about this, similar rules for the running back. As some of you know, we teach our counter play. We want to be inside hip of the second puller. Right here, perfect position, inside hip of the second puller. Ends up right down there. Good looking football. Really think you'll see it nice on the end zone copy here. Again, whoop, inside hip of that second puller, hits that thing downhill. Great one cut running right there. This is something we started to do later on in the year. We motioned this guy and we would do Alaska, or what a lot of people call Alaska, anything, you can call it a number of different things, your freeze count, where you bring this guy across and you have no call. It's amazing how many times you'll get easy penalty yards. And as you can see, we're not running this against a real friendly box. Okay? They got guys committed to the run, clearly. Makes the call over to there. We're going to decide which side we want to run this to. We get the follow. He does a good job bouncing it. Trips up there, or would have had even bigger gain. What I've liked about it, like we have talked about on the video here, It started as a big quarterback play. It became more of a tailback play, and it became a little bit initially complement to our Q power, Q counter, and it became kind of our answer to inside zone because I was not a real good teacher of the inside zone concept, and we'd never been great at it. So this two-back version, now we got guard pulling, we got Y following, and we can still read the backside end. So a lot of different ways to get to this. See it right here again with the quarterback following. He bounces this one. This is one of the few times you'll see this bounce. This guy slipped inside here as we were coming inside. This kid, like I said, was the all-time leading rusher in school history. You can actually see, this is one of my favorite clips of all time. He gives a shot here on the sideline. You see the paint off this young man's helmet go flying. Boom. See it right there? I got to run that again, man. I don't know if you're enjoying that, but this is just pretty. Boom. Paint off there, down the sideline. Love it. That is physical, good-looking football right there. Bring him in motion again. The follow. Boom, hitting it downhill, and we're good to go. I'm going to show a few more clips. Here we got it here. We play at NAU, play Flagstaff at NAU. Love the follow, hitting that thing downhill. Again, you get those base blocks instead of gap down backer, gap on down. Those guys eventually usually get good at playing that. That's just a really good job being inside hip of the second puller here. Let's look at this one. Really tight, good block. Number one, number two, pulling, follow. Two split backers, two inserts. Love it against even or odd split. And we hit this thing downhill. I don't know if we have the end zone copy of this. I think maybe we do. We do. All right, this guy slants inside. Not sure if he made a rat or a mouse call, but I think that's one of the important parts of this is making that call so you know kind of where you're inserting. You can get a clue. It doesn't always work out that way, but this is guard following, guard, fullback. Boom, 1, 2 backer. Great cut. Love it. That young man there ended up walking on at USC, and I think this is him too. Got a chance to watch him play a little bit at USC. Has been really, really exciting. Obviously, anytime you can play in the Big Ten, that's a pretty big deal. See a few more clips here on the follow. This is in a really hard-fought state playoff game. We won 35-28 a few years back. So watch the follow here. Really good end zone copy. Again, you're going to get that rat call. This is not, you do not have to be a football savant to know the B gap is the gap open here. So we're following our rules. First man from the center over. Second man from the center over. End up guard. End up following with the fullback. Okay, boom, right there. Good looking football. Really, really good complement to your counter. I think the fold ISO, not the follow, but the fold ISO is a really nice complement, in my view, to the power game. Like I said, and I've said, like I said, way too much on this video. I don't know why when I get alone, I have a tendency, there's some words you gravitate to, and apparently that's one for me. But, as we have discussed in this video, complementing the power encounter. That's kind of the name of the game on this. You've got to have stuff to protect. A lot of people protect it with RPOs, different things. Haven't always been the best RPO coach, so we have different ways maybe to protect some of our base stuff. We run a lot of power encounter. These are ways we've used to protect it. A lot of people call this the gut. I know Coach Chip calls it gut. Been a really good play for us. There's been years where yards per carry, it's been our highest play in our playbook. So, always rely on the generosity of guests. So if you are out there and you want to be on our show, please, please, please contact me, Cody.Collett at Prescott Schools. That's CODY.COLLETT at PrescottSchools.com. We would absolutely love to have you on. We'll see everybody next time, hopefully with another great guest on the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show.